Hello, my lovelies. I am Madam Crystal Butterfly, and today I am reviewing Enchanted Forest. Now, this book, my lovelies, is special. Not just because it's an anthology full of many just fantastic stories, but it was created for a very special purpose. In the name of Almighty Prophet, large amounts of rainforest are cut down every year, leading not only to the extinction or potential extinction of many different animal species, but adds to the worsening of climate change. There are also many indigenous people who call the rainforest home, and all this rainforest clear cutting places them in danger as well. Knowing this truth, a group of authors decided to help the struggle to stop the destruction of the rainforest by creating their book, Enchanted Forest. They seek to help gain funds for the Rainforest Foundation, who works with many indigenous communities to protect the rainforest from being destroyed. These authors put a large amount of work and talent into each of the amazing stories you'll get to read in this thrilling book. So if you're wise and get yourself a copy today, not only will you be supporting an important cause that will affect both you and generations down the line, you'll also be treating yourself to some amazing stories. I had a hard time picking which stories to tell you about, thanks to all of these stories proving to be a really fun read. But in the end, I decided to tell you a little bit about the story To Snare a Prince by Sky Summers and Willow Daughter by Astrid Vijay. The reason behind me selecting their stories has to do with the fact that in this review, I can't tell you a whole lot about the authors like I usually do. And I was already making plans to review books by the two authors I just mentioned before I was made aware of this interesting book. As for the rest of the talented writers who participated in the creation of Enchanted Forest, I really like these stories, so I'm making plans to get books by each of these authors so that I can review them on this channel in the future. Alright, my lovelies, let's get to the first story in this anthology that I wish to tell you all a little bit about. And it is an alternative fairy tale about Hansel and Gretel. Well, in this case, it's Hansel and Greta. The story is called How to Snare a Prince. And poor Greta has found herself in a very interesting situation. The story starts when Greta was walking through the forest to her grandmother's potion shop. Her grandmother just so happens to be the witch from the Hansel and Gretel story who tried to eat her and her brother. Now that's all I'm going to say about Grandma. If you want to learn more about her, then I suggest you get this book. Anyway, Greta is running her grandmother's shop where she sells different potions to help improve people's health. As she makes her way through the woods, she eventually runs into a raccoon who decides to start following her. And no matter what she does, the raccoon refuses to leave her alone. And to make matters worse, it won't tell her what it wants. When she gets to her grandmother's shop, this becomes even more of a problem because naturally, you don't want some wild animal running around your health store. It'll make the customers think the place is unclean. To make matters worse, Greta does also have to run Cinderella's stepmother's diner So she gets really pissy when the raccoon feels the need to follow her there, where people also don't like wild animals hanging around. Eventually, she discovers this whole time the raccoon wanted her to remove a thorn from its paw. Why it took so long to tell her that is beyond me, but as soon as she removes the thorn, it leaves and she shouts at it to never come back. The next day, the raccoon is back and it has brought all its other animals' friends. Which, as you can guess, is a real what the hell moment for poor Greta. She's got two businesses to run, and she also apparently is supposed to be studying magic when she's not running things. Now all these forest animals seem to have decided to make her their designated veterinarian without her consent. Greta does try to help the animals as best she can, but she's overwhelmed with all the work she has to do while worrying about her magic studies. Her brother Hansel shows up one day to see how she's doing, and he finds her worn down and tries to help her with her situation. He shows the animals an orange flower and tells them only show up when this orange flower's up. If it's not up, don't come around. She's not serving anybody. The animals nod their heads in agreement and then ask, so what is orange? After they finally get the whole color blindness situation sorted out, the animals are on a better schedule of when to see Greta for care. But even though she's gotten the whole having to attend to animal illnesses thing under control in addition to all the other work she has to do, this is just way too much on her to do with barely any help. To make matters worse, one day, a mother freegan, a six-headed dragon shows up, demanding care. Can Greta help the dragon? What is this dragon even sick from? Well, my lovelies, I'm not going to tell you any of that. You're just going to have to read this wonderful book to find out the answer. And trust me, my lovelies, you'll definitely want to get this book so that you can find out, because my goodness, it is just too interesting of a story. Okay, my lovelies, the last story I will be telling all of you about is called Willow Daughter. And this tale starts off with an elderly man telling his granddaughter a story from his youth. Back when the grandfather was young, he decided to venture into the deep forest. The deep forest was not a place people went, because stories about deep places of the world that people had ventured there told were usually cautionary tales, aka you probably shouldn't do that. But he was young and naive, so he figured he was tough enough to survive anything that attacked him as long as he made sure to bring his axe with him. As he ventured into the deep forest, he soon found himself in a place full of magic. And as he took in the sights of this place, he heard this beautiful, sad song. And he could tell a woman was singing it, and her song just mesmerized him in a way that he just had to follow it. He eventually found a woman singing high up in a tree. He listened to her song for a bit, simply enthralled in the beauty of her voice. Her song was just so sad that he started to feel that he needed to take her with him, for he needed to just hear her beautiful voice for the rest of his life. He asked her to come down from the tree, and she tells him she cannot. He lets her know he just wants to talk to her. Her song is so sad that he wants to know what's making her miserable. She just tells him that she is not going to lower herself to the likes of him. This was clearly a jab at him, and instead of trying to consider why she felt the need to antagonize him, he pulled out his axe. He tells her if she does not come down from that tree, he is chopping it down. The woman doesn't even get scared by his erratic behavior. Instead, she dares him to cut down that tree. He takes a great swing with his axe once, and when it comes to contact with the tree, it hurts his hand so bad he has to let go of the axe. As he looked at his axe, which was stuck in the tree and made barely any damage to it, he starts expecting the woman to start laughing at him. Instead, he notices that she's looking at the tiny bit of damage the axe caused, like she's pissed off. Before he can think about what she's so mad about, she shoots fire from her hands at the spot of the tree that he damaged. The man stumbles backwards in fear of the flames that now engulf the tree. He became terrified quickly that the woman would start shooting fire at him next. He's also humbled in that moment, since he was forced to realize that it didn't matter how strong he was. Her strength was far superior to his own in every way. The woman jumps down from the high tree branch and delicately lands on the ground near him. She walks over to him and extends her hand and pulls him to his feet. Then she tells him that they need to hurry and leave, for the Lord of the Forest will be there soon. Who is this woman? Did she want the man to cut down the tree? Better yet, who is the Lord of the Forest? Is he bad or good? My lovelies, I will be answering none of those questions. If you want to discover the truth, then I suggest that you grab a copy of this amazing story. You will be simply wowed the more you learn about Willow's daughter. It is an interesting read. It had me just turning each page, desperate to know, well, what happens next. All right, my lovelies, it's that time to give this book its butterfly score. So, when it comes to Enchanted Forest, I am giving it the rating of 5 butterflies out of 5. There are just so many incredible stories, from dimensional travelers encountering Sasquatch and princesses who want to be gardeners instead of queens. And that's just a little taste into the many just amazing, very imaginative stories in this anthology. So you're definitely going to want to grab a copy today. Not only will you be supporting a great cause, but you will be getting the reward of getting to read several fantastic tales by some really talented authors. Alright, my lovelies, if you've made it to this part of the video, first I would like to say thank you. And please give this video a like. Leave me a comment if you have not yet. But the subscribe button like it owes your money. And don't forget to give that little notification bell a ring. And with that, my lovelies, this video is a wrap. Now, if you please, come with me as we dance into a